afternoon, everyone. Welcome to At America. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. We are the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and first and foremost, everyone, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Genara Yusuf, or you can call me Ara, and I will be the MC for today's very special event. And for those of you new here, At America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, in which our mission is to provide a space for people to learn about the United States through our programs and also our events. And before we start, everyone, I would like to greet our beloved audience joining us today in At America. First, we have our friends from Universitas Pertamina. Hi, everyone. And also joining us today is our friends from Universitas Al-Azhar, Jakarta. Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today here in At America. And our event for today, ladies and gentlemen, is titled Powering the Future, American Leadership in Clean Nuclear Energy. Yes, so today we'll explore the future of clean energy and how American technologies and also leadership could help shape the energy future for Indonesia and also ASEAN. And ladies and gentlemen, today we are already joined by our speakers from different backgrounds and also institutions to share with us their insights and also expertise regarding today's important topic. But before we begin our session today with our very brilliant speakers, let us first hear an opening remark that will be delivered by the Public Affairs Officer of the U.S. Mission to ASEAN. Everyone, please welcome Ed Stevens.
Thank you, Ara. So nice to see you here. Who are majoring in like energy fields, physics, chemistry, business, law? What's our major here? What are we majoring over here? Most chemistry, mostly. How about everybody else? Just yell it out, shout it out. Economics, economics. Yeah. Actuarial, brilliant. I like statistics, so actuarials. I love you guys. You make the world go round. How about over here? What are we majoring in? International relations. Wonderful. Very excellent. Beautiful. Thank you for coming. We're so happy to have you here. My name is Ad. It's like subtract, but better, more. And I'm so excited about today's topic. But you did not come to listen to me, so I'm just going to be very brief and then turn the time over to our brilliant experts. As Ara said, they are brilliant. So this is the slide that I wanted to put up. I am so passionate about nuclear energy, and this is why. This is a XKCD. I'm sure the chemist will recognize it, maybe the actuaries. This is a famous webcomic, and I love it. He says, log scales are for quitters who can't find enough paper to make their point properly. Here we have the fuel energy density of sugar, 19, coal, 24, fat, 39, gasoline, 46, and uranium at 76 million. So the key to a prosperous future is abundant, affordable, clean energy. And nuclear is the way to go. And our experts are going to talk about why that's the case, and maybe they'll talk about why some of the things you think you know about nuclear energy may not be 100% accurate, in addition to all the new technologies we have. So please join me in welcoming our speakers again with a round of applause. And I'll turn the time back over to Ara to introduce our moderator and speakers.
Thank you so much, Bapak Ed Stevens. Can we have another round of applause for Bapak Ed Stevens? That was a very insightful opening remark. And ladies and gentlemen, as I've said before, we are already joined today by our brilliant speakers that will present to us their knowledge and also expertise, and followed also by a discussion. And to lead our presentation and also discussion for today, we are already joined by our moderator. Our moderator for today is the Economic Officer at the U.S. Mission to ASEAN. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and give the biggest round of applause for Cody Swyer.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us today. Again, my name is Cody Swyer, and I'm an economic officer. One second, let me pick this up. at the US mission to ASEAN here in Jakarta, where I focus on advancing energy cooperation between the United States and ASEAN. So we see, as Ad said, abundant, reliable, and affordable energy as the foundation for economic security and for economic development here in ASEAN as well as in the United States. And we see nuclear energy as a crucial part of that conversation. So today we're excited to be able to explore with all of you how Indonesia and ASEAN can advance energy security and energy reliability and resilience through high standard nuclear technologies. And we're so thrilled to have leading voices from the United States, India's National Energy Council, and the ASEAN Center for Energy to join us for this conversation. We're going to discuss how civilian nuclear power can support national and regional ambitions for Indonesia and for ASEAN as a whole, especially as demand for electricity continues to grow in this region and as regional connectivity initiatives, including the ASEAN Power Grid, become a reality. And we're going to look at how the United States can support these ambitions, both through our technology, including small modular reactors and other cutting-edge developments, and more broadly, through our experiences and the lessons we've learned over the past few decades. And we're excited that this event forms part of the road to the 50th anniversary of US-ASEAN relations, which the United States and ASEAN are going to celebrate next year in 2027. So without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker. And 1 second while I pull up our bios. Here we are. Should I introduce all of our speakers, or just bring them up on stage, or just one at a time? Okay, bring them all up on the stage. Okay, so first, can everybody give me a round of applause to welcome Dr. Engineer Sripeni Inten Cahyani. Ibu Inten is a seasoned energy sector leader with over 27 years of experience in Indonesia's electricity and power generation industry, including senior executive roles at PT Indonesia Power and PLN. And she currently serves as a member of the board of the National Energy Council, representing industry, a position she has held since December 2025. Her career spans strategic procurement, financial leadership, risk management, and public policy, including 5 years as expert staff on electricity to Indonesia's Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources. She holds a Doctor of Electronics from Trisakti University, is a certified enterprise risk management professional, and holds the distinction of ASEAN Engineer and honorary member of AFEO. So once again, please join me in welcoming Ibu Inten. Secondly, please join me in welcoming Pak Ruli Hidayatullah. Pak Ruli is a nuclear energy expert serving as the Senior Officer for Nuclear at the ASEAN Center for Energy, or ACE, a think tank focused on energy issues across Southeast Asia. In this role, he leads regional programs on civil nuclear energy and energy infrastructure integration. Ruli holds a master's degree in nuclear science and engineering jointly from Tsinghua University in China and the Korea Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, or KAIST. And prior to joining ACE, he worked as an energy consultant and advisor for both private and government institutions. Thank you for joining us, Pak Ruli. And finally, please join me in giving a warm welcome to the guest who's traveled farthest to be here with us today, Dr. Kelle Barfield. Dr. Barfield is a public affairs and economic development professional with extensive experience spanning energy, education, international engagement, and community leadership. Based in Mississippi, she has been actively involved with the Fulbright Association and has built a reputation for advancing local and global economic development initiatives through public service and strategic stakeholder engagement. Her professional background includes work in nuclear communications, public policy, community development, and advisory leadership roles, with expertise in energy and international cooperation. And she's also collaborated with the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, as a nuclear communications expert, supporting workshops and stakeholder engagement programs for countries developing nuclear energy systems. She also has held numerous civic and leadership positions in the US state of Mississippi, including service on the Mississippi Commission on School Accreditation and the board of the Vicksburg-Warren County Chamber of Commerce. She attended the University of Southern California and has also completed executive studies at the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth College. So please join me again in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Barfield. And since you're not here to listen to me, but to our experts, please let me introduce again Ibu Inten for our first presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Cody. Okay. Good, what is it? Good, good afternoon. Good afternoon, yeah, everybody. So only 10 minutes. So this is very crucial for me to speed up. But I would like to emphasize that this is the good opportunity to us from the National Energy National Council, yeah, to see that join with the American event this today, and to promote about the nuclear. And we hope that you, as the young generation, become a lead, yeah, become lead and be an agent of the change to the transformation to support the energy transition. So this is the clue, because we understand that we have a target 2060, yeah. 2060, Indonesian will have a net zero emission target. So how old are you in 2060? 40? 50? Yes? 40 and 50, yeah? Around 40 and 50. And this is your time, yeah? So, like me, like Ibu, I will be 98, yeah? So if I have still, yeah, still alive, so I'm in 98 years, yeah? So this is for 2060 in the net zero, Indonesian net zero target. So you will be a leader. So you will be have a, what is it, strategic, yeah, role in Indonesian leadership. So this is important issue that you should supervise and you should involve with the activity in the transition energy in Indonesia. Yeah. So this is our roles in Energi Nasional Council. We have a four tasks and one attorney. Yeah. I will skip this. Yeah. And it is good for me because I'm the only woman in the National Energy member. So I would like as representing in the woman in energy also. Yeah. So this is the target. Why in the government regulation number 40, it is the new one, yeah, that put it nuclear, yeah, put it nuclear to balance the energy mix and to achieve the decarbonization target. So this is important because of the characteristic of nuclear itself. It is with a large scale of the capacity and for the base load, and it is stable, yeah, a stable operation to make to fulfill our need in the electricity. Yeah. So this is the guidance. We have a Indonesian law, yeah, for nuclear since 1997. Yeah. So this is very, but until right now, we have not yet built a nuclear power plant. But actually, you have already, yeah, involved with nuclear, with radioactive. Well, you see the Ronson in the health, public health. So it is no issue with the safety and others. So please remind that we have already put it on the Indonesian law, but it is your task right now to make nuclear power plant become a reality. Yeah. So this is also, we concern about the safety, and the safety supervision is international supervision, EIEA. Yeah, it is international, so we don't worry about this safety issue. So also the fuel supply, construction site criteria, all of them, as it is implemented, but we should obey, or we should fulfill for the requirement. Yeah. The requirement is in the international standard. So we have a planning. So this is the planning. So you see that in the nuclear power plant, in the 2030, yeah, we will have 250 megawatt. For for the small, because it will be more easily to accept for the public acceptance. Yeah. And it will be grow, yeah, until 2060, there will be 35 until 42 gigawatt. It's depend on the Indonesian growth economic. So this is the map, yeah, in the RUPTL PLN that will be connect to the grid of PLN, and also in the national government that will be 42 gigawatt in the end of 2060. That the net zero target, Indonesian target. Yeah. So this is in the ASEAN. So we are not alone. Yeah. Malaysia put it in 2030, Indonesia 2032. Yeah. Vietnam also, Philippines also, and also Thailand. So you see that Laos recently have MOU with the country technology of nuclear to build the nuclear power plant. So ASEAN also, so Pak Ruli will be explain about how ASEAN also rise up in the nuclear power plant development. Yeah. So this is the progress of the preparation. So this is 19. Yeah. This is the 19 of the issue that we should fulfill. Yeah. It is the standard from the IEA. So we have already, but there is 3 red one. Yeah. The first one we still need for the government policy to set up the body of the NEPIO. So the body of the NEPIO and also the Indonesian law that put it that the national commitment for the nuclear development plan. So this is the area 28 area that has already identified by BRIN. Yeah. There are so many area, but we right now focus on the 2 area, West Kalimantan and also Sumatra, Bangka Belitung. So this is how the community accept. So this is the yellow one. It is important to get the yellow one higher, yeah, than the green one, because the public awareness, it is important. So we in this occasion, the special occasion today, we would like to ask you as the generation, young generation, become the agent of the change. Yeah, become the agent of the change to support how nuclear can be established, can be development in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibu Inten, for that excellent and thorough presentation. Next, we'll move from Indonesia to the broader region. Let me reintroduce Pak Ruli to talk a little bit about what the ASEAN Center for Energy is doing on nuclear power.
Okay, thank you, Cody, for kind introductions. So, and thank you for invitations to our center to speak. So I'm here in behalf of our center to talk with you on something that quite becoming serious conversations, in Southeast Asia, which is civil nuclear energy and how the ASEAN countries are working together to navigate it. So I think now when we talk about nuclear terms, it will trigger different reactions in the room. So some will hear it as an opportunity, but maybe some will hear it as a concern. So I think in the next maybe 5 to 7 minutes, I think I want to give you some context to get some understanding on the landscape on why ASEAN is taking seriously these conversations and what the cooperation framework are looking into in Southeast Asia. Sorry. Thanks. Yeah, I think Ibu Inten already mentioned about this previously. So yeah, nuclear is not something new in ASEAN. Some countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam. So probably some of you are hearing or have some background or information about nuclear. So Indonesia, I think, started the nuclear in 1970s, 1980s. And then also, I think Philippines, Malaysia also started in around 1980s. Vietnam started around 1990s. So actually, in Southeast Asia, nuclear is something that we consider as a tools for energy security and also in the decarbonization target. So as previously mentioned by Ibu Inten, Indonesia is just setting up NEPIO to coordinate the national energy implementations and also evaluate some potential site. We heard around 20 sites to be evaluated within national landscape, and also within the national target or national planning. Nuclear is included in 2032 around half gigawatt and probably until 7 gigawatt in 2040. Our neighbor, Philippines, I think one of the most aggressive, more aggressive nation in the regions. They already put their nuclear within their national target. It's around 1.2 gigawatt in 2032 and up to 4.8 gigawatt in 2050. And they, as our nations also try to develop the NEPIO, they already have their own NEPIO. So yeah, these NEPIO or this national target, they coordinate there are a lot of stakeholders within. So from, let's say, from Ministry of Energy, Finance, and other stakeholders to coordinate nuclear. And also the reacting of Vietnam, they revisit their Ninh Thuan nuclear power plant project with a capacity around 4 to 6 gigawatt in 2035. So actually, Vietnam, they already said put their target earlier, but due to some economic situations or some policy changes, they just stopped their nuclear project for a while. But yeah, started in 2023, 2024, they revisit their interest in nuclear. And then maybe some of you heard about the INER, or we call it Integrated Nuclear Infrastructure Review. So yeah, Southeast Asia nations or ASEAN member states, they're doing the INER review. So in the international landscape, we have organizations called International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA. So yeah, so with the member states, they come to country and then doing the INER missions, or we call it the INER review. It's like independent assessment to review or to evaluate the readiness of country when they want to have or to want to develop the nuclear project within their nations. So some countries that are already doing the INER review is Indonesian, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, Singapore. I mean, Singapore not completed yet, but yeah, even the small countries with a very dense populations, they still consider nuclear as a one of the tools for energy security and decarbonizations. And then lastly, I think last year our organizations, ACE, we talked with some different stakeholders from educational institutions and then from utilities and also governments. So we talk what are their concerns, what are the key challenges in Southeast Asia if you want to go towards the nuclear development. And yeah, actually we have like hundreds or maybe a lot of lists, but in summary, yeah, we can see there are like around six key challenges in nuclear development in Southeast Asia. So if we can say this, the government commitment and policy, sure. Without the commitment and without the clear policy from the government, we cannot move forward on a nuclear development. And then, of course, it already mentioned by Ibu Inten also, the public perception and trust, financing model and viability, skilled workforce, of course. If we want to have the nuclear operated safely, of course, we need the skilled workforce. And then regulatory framework, and then the localizations and technology transfer. So in a regional landscape, so actually our organizations not only working on nuclear energy, but also we work on a different landscape of energy, ranging from the ASEAN power grid, the gas, the clean coal technology, the energy efficiency, renewable energy, and regional energy policy and planning. So the energy cooperation in Southeast Asia are mandated or guided by a document called the APEC or Action Plan on ASEAN Energy Cooperations. So it was mandated by the ASEAN Ministry, ASEAN Energy Ministry, and it is endorsed during the AME meeting in 2026-2030. So the cooperation framework under the energy cooperation is guided by these documents. And our energy minister are still seeing civil nuclear energy is one of a serious serious conversations and important aspect in energy cooperation in Southeast Asia. Yep. So this is the key strategy on energy on regional energy cooperations. So let me get it straight. It is equip decision makers with critical insight to position civil nuclear energy as a low carbon fuel options for ASEAN growing energy demand. So here, what we try to emphasize, of course, we want to build a nuclear. Some countries want to build a nuclear power plant, but what need to emphasize is, yes, we want to build nuclear, but the most important thing is how we prepare that. So the decision maker need to be prepared with a critical insight on a nuclear. Because, however, if when the country will develop nuclear power plant or will develop nuclear program, it was grounded or it was decided with a very grounded and technical and scientific approach, which are very important, and the decisions come with a clear mandate and with a clear approach. Yeah, this is some strategy and action plans of regional energy cooperation. I will not go through this one, but but the summary of this strategy and action plan under the regional energy cooperation is to promote nuclear as a low carbon energy, and then to enhance effective communications and public engagement on civil nuclear energy, and also strengthening regional and international cooperations to facilitate the development and deployment of nuclear energy. Yep. So yeah, if you follow on the ASEAN chairmanship. So in 2026, the chairmanship is under the Philippines, and nuclear is also one of the deliverables under the Philippine chairmanship. And the deliverable is called the Study on Financing Nuclear Power Plant and Human Resource Development. So under this deliverable, the Philippines and also the stakeholders want to see or want to observe what is the viable financing options for a nuclear power plant in reducing cost and risk, and also what are the policy and regulatory conditions to support the bankable of nuclear project. In terms of human workforce development, what are the strategy of human resource deployment across the full nuclear life cycle, and also what are the regional cooperations framework or mechanism for joint learning and coordinated support. So yeah, under this deliverable, we want the Philippines wants to observe what are the viable options on the financing, on what are the strategy on human workforce development for nuclear project. So yeah, lastly, I think what we have seen in the story is not like ASEAN countries, they are racing one each other to develop nuclear, but what we try to observe here is ASEAN is trying to build, in essence, to build their preparedness, to build their foundation for a safe, informed, and regionally coordinated nuclear governance. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm ready to get your questions.
Thank you very much, Pak Ruli, for that thorough breakdown of where things stand across the region and what ASEAN is doing to move things forward. So that's a great segue into Dr. Barfield's presentation, who can talk about both her experiences that she's seen in the region, but also the lessons that ASEAN can learn from the United States. So Dr. Barfield, over to you.
Thank you very much, Cody. So, energy enables all human activity. Yes? Yes? Both Cody and Ad talked about how important reliable, affordable electricity is to the economic growth of your country, to the social development, to your quality of life, right? I'm here to tell you one of my favorite statements: kilowatts make dreams come true, right? You have to have electricity, but you also have to have people interested in how you produce the electricity. You have this goal of net zero by 2060. How are you going to achieve it? The exciting thing is nuclear energy playing a role here in Indonesia means you get to play a role in a critical aspect of your country's economic future. I love the fact that this is a theme for the Freedom 250 speaking series, because indeed, freedom is all about energy independence. The good news is you can learn from 3/4 of a century of nuclear operation around the world. The United States has a background going back to the 1950s. The very first shipping port atomic power station in Pennsylvania was a small reactor of about 60 megawatts. And so our experience goes back for decades. But what's even more exciting as you consider careers in this industry is where we are today, as you see, with revolutionary designs. You have vendors from around the globe developing new technologies. If you're interested in science, every aspect of the life cycle of nuclear, from mining, fuel fabrication, design of reactors, so much activity. In the United States, the estimate is more than 165 nuclear development projects. So if you're interested in reactor design, what to do with spent fuel, there's a place for you and your expertise. And why is there so much excitement, right? Electricity is important, and electricity demands are soaring around the globe. What's one reason for that? AI, right? Every one of you holding a phone is basically holding about a refrigerator's worth of electricity demand in your pocket, okay? But when you do an AI search instead of a normal Google search, it takes 10 times the power. That's why your phones are always dying. So we have to have abundant electricity to grow our economies. Also, advanced technologies are being applied in inventive ways. So in the old days, all we worried about was electricity generation, and that's still important, but you also have technologies from nuclear being applied to things like desalination, which is critical in many countries, to hydrogen production, process heat for industry. So again, the variety of applications of nuclear technologies also make it exciting. Now, when we talk SMRs, small modular reactors, there's a lot of confusion around what that is. Advanced technology, advanced compared to what? In reality, that history slide that I showed you just means that for 70 years, nuclear technologies constantly evolve. They constantly improve. One of the fundamental principles of nuclear generation is sharing of global operating experience. And that's why from the United States, I'm here this week, because we constantly share the best, but also the bad, and what we've learned from it and how we're improving from it. So advanced technologies now means that in addition to large plants, which many countries do still need, there are applications for smaller reactors that simply don't make as much electricity. So it's perfect, for example, in remote communities with data centers looking at like micro reactors where you only have 1 or 2 megawatts being produced. The U.S. Army, for example, has a program called Janus, and they're looking at deploying little 5 megawatt reactors at military bases. They've selected 9 bases in the United States for small reactors. So again, as your country, as Indonesia looks at energy policy, how are you going to be net zero? And also, how are you going to expand to create the electricity that you need to prosper? All of these issues go into the decision making. And I'm here to tell you that no one generation source is perfect. They all have pros and cons. There are trade-offs in every decision that you make, right? Solar Wind, hydro, very abundant here in Indonesia. It's important that you continue to look at these renewable sources, right? But the reality is the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. You have to have everything. You have to not walk away from any of your options. And that's why it's so important that nuclear is on your table. It's on your menu of options. Because here in the United States, for example, you see that nuclear plants operate at over 90% of their rated capacity. So that takes into consideration shutting down to refuel the reactor, for example, or perform maintenance, for instance. Whereas at the other end of the spectrum, solar operates at only about a quarter of its capacity, and wind and hydro about a third. So it's very, very important to factor all of these things in, and as well as the environmental impact. This surprises a lot of people that they see wind, nuclear, hydro, solar. These are renewable. How do they emit greenhouse gases? But the International Panel on Climate Change assesses every generation source from the entire life cycle, the mining, the manufacturing, the production of electricity, and the decommissioning. So everything, as I say, has pros and cons. We've already looked at the infrastructure issues, and so that's what Indonesia is developing in terms of its approach to nuclear. And in terms of ASEAN, their key criteria you see reflected in many of those infrastructure issues. And so I want to show you a few of these because my message is there is a home for you in the family of the global nuclear community. As you're going through the milestones approach, like was mentioned, you're here in Indonesia in phase 1. And so regulatory framework was on the previous set of slides. That's critical, but that's something that you can learn and adapt from mature nuclear countries like the United States. So many countries, like Indonesia, as you look at the technology you're going to choose, there will already be a Nuclear Regulatory Commission review of that technology, for example. Emergency planning. If any of you like protecting your communities, anticipating a crisis, how do you communicate what to do in an emergency? That's a category you can consider. Physical security is important, and that's changing dramatically with small reactors because they're a much, much smaller footprint. Everybody always says, and what about the waste, right? What about the waste? Every generating source has byproducts. Nuclear has spent fuel in the form of these aluminum-clad rods that you basically put in a pool of water for up to 40 years. The radiation decays to 1/1000th in that period of time, and then you just put it in these little concrete containers, literally on a concrete pad in the parking lot of the nuclear plant. So in the future, if your country, if the United States decides to reprocess that spent fuel, you basically have your feedstock already. And a number of countries already do reprocessing. France, India, Japan, for example. United States simply finds it more cost-effective to store it right now and get fresh uranium fabricated. Financing, I heard economists over here in terms of a major, it's an amazing world. The dramatic change of private investment, for example, in nuclear is a game changer in terms of the front end capital cost of nuclear. And then I want to show you a few slides that have to do with workforce because everybody assumes you have to be a nuclear engineer to work at a nuclear plant. Do you know what my first college degree was? Magazine journalism. How did I end up at a nuclear plant, right? Well, I met my husband, who was an engineer, designing and building the nuclear plant 40 years ago. I started working at a nuclear plant in 1986. My daughter was an accounting major. She worked at the nuclear plant. My son was a chemical and biomolecular engineer. He worked at the nuclear plant. There's a home for everybody in nuclear. And one reason it's so appealing as a career, this is an old slide, but it shows relatively how many jobs you have to have at the various types of generation and what the average salary is. These are very, very high skilled, and so they're high compensated jobs. Now, it takes a very long time to develop a workforce, so you get in the game now with your studies, with internships. The United States, for example, has more than 40 programs, partnerships with traditional four-year universities, community colleges, trade certifications, and so forth. There's plenty of opportunity to develop, and it's fun. Look at some of these trends. You've got virtual reality, you've got augmented reality, you've got game theory, you've got, it's fun to study nuclear technology and to play on a simulator. Nothing's more exciting than bringing the reactor critical, and then suddenly there's a hurricane and you scram your reactor. It's great, great fun. So as Indonesia looks at feasibility of nuclear here, one of the key things that I'm going to close with is the concept of stakeholder engagement. That public communication was also one of the key priority areas under that NR mission. And it's critical because it demonstrates how deliberate and how meticulous every aspect of the nuclear program is when you're engaged with the public early on. You gain support, you lessen the opposition, you gain an understanding. It changes, but even at a consideration phase, it's critical. And in the United States, we have plenty of examples when we did not practice good public communication. Yucca Mountain, this is the nuclear plant where I worked 40 years ago, and there was supposed to be another unit there, but you see a red circle where the plant was never built. Lilco is in my backyard. That was a plant that cost $6 billion. They completely finished it in New York, Long Island, New York. It never made a single kilowatt, right? Kilowatts make dreams come true. But they shut it down because the public was opposed to the project. The good news is today, in Japan, for example, tremendous support for nuclear energy. A lot of that comes from host communities. So within 5 years of Fukushima, 2/3 of those surveyed wanted those plants to be restarted. That sends a powerful message, doesn't it? In the United States, these are two women who work at a nuclear plant in California that they were going to prematurely shut down, and they got women engaged to make sure that plant continued to operate. We all assume that the public is afraid of nuclear. In reality, they just don't think about it. They don't think about how electricity gets made. And that's why helping them understand what matters to them is delivered by nuclear technologies. It might be jobs, it might be affordable electricity, it might be, I don't want blackouts, I want reliability. Regardless of what they want, nuclear has a place. And that's why in the United States, as you can see over the course of 40 years, support for nuclear has gone from about 50-50 in the early 80s to 3/4 to 1/4 today. But what's interesting is the public always assumes everybody else doesn't like it. It's just not true. So tell the true story, get involved, because you are the best way to relate to fellow students, to your families. When you learn more about it and you become more aware of the options, like I said, everything has trade-offs, you become powerful advocates, powerful spokesperson. Everyone here in the theater today is a spokesperson for nuclear energy. And why is that important? Because you will never get to the point you ultimately want, which is support, if they don't understand the trade-offs, the pros and cons, but you're never going to get the community, the public, to open their head to the information if they are not aligned with what matters to them. So start with the heart, you then get their head, and then you get their hands. So I think with that, we will enjoy some questions.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Barfield. So I'll start by asking a few questions, and then we'll open it up to all of you as well as to our friends who are joining us online for your questions. But you all covered a lot of ground in your presentations, from workforce development, public acceptance, but I want to go back to and start with something that Dr. Barfield talked about, which is getting people in the heart and the mind before you call them to action. And one thing that I think is really useful in that is that nuclear energy is just really cool. It's really exciting. It's got a ton of potential, and it's getting more and more potential every day with all the recent technological developments we've seen. So I just wanted to ask each of you, what are you most excited about in terms of nuclear energy's potential for Indonesia and for this region? What are recent developments that you see as really potentially making a difference around here? And Ibu Inten, perhaps we can start with you and go across.
Okay. So nuclear power plant, actually, this is the important is the characteristic of the nuclear itself. It is for the base load, so it's stable. And we have a small size until large size. Right now, the technology for the small size is the advance of the technology right now. And we can minimize the risk. Yeah? And it is very suitable for Indonesia as the archipelago country because we have a remote area and also it is not easy to manage the logistic costs for the fuel, yeah, for the fuel. If we have a coal power plant with a small scale in the remote area, it is not easy, yeah, to manage it. But if we have a small modular reactor or small nuclear power plant, so we can put it, and then only just 1 to fueling, and there'll be the next fueling is 5 years, 10 years, yeah, next. So it can become more easily to manage and more stable because it needs, in Indonesia, electricity is the infrastructure for the development of the country. So this is important to provide the electricity abundant, yeah, because it will be increase the economic. Yeah. This is important, particularly for the eastern of Indonesia that have a challenging in the geographic or because of the archipelago. Yeah. So this is the important why Indonesia should have a nuclear power plant. And don't forget, UGM, Universitas Gadjah Mada, is the first, is the first, apa Pak, perguruan tinggi, university, yeah, is the first university that have a nuclear program. But until right now, we have not yet, yeah, we have not yet to develop, yeah. So please, we hope that our roadmap in the net zero emission 2060, there are 2032. The target is the first. I understand it is very challenging target because it's too, right now it's only, 8 years, yeah, only 8 years to achieve that. But we should start now. Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Barfield?
I think what I'm most excited about is the passionate focus on the future. And that comes from technology developers, it comes from potential investors, and it comes from a potential nuclear workforce. So developers, I often say, they're like kids in a candy store right now. They're so excited. That's why that big wheel has so many companies. It's just amazing how many developers are getting involved. Investors, that's exciting because they see it's not a matter of whether a country is going to have nuclear. The future is a very long time. It's just a question of when. And so investors are lining up to support countries who previously could not individually afford the big capital investment. And then students like yourselves, I was speaking a couple of months ago in the United States. The American Nuclear Society has chapters at college campuses across the United States. 1,000 students like yourself came together in Texas at Texas A&M. And I asked many of them, why are you interested in careers in nuclear? And the word you used, Cody, was the word I heard over and over, because it's so cool. So that passionate, that enthusiastic focus on the future of nuclear is what I'm excited about.
Yeah, so, yeah. Most exciting thing is, I think from the nuclear, it's the science itself, the atom itself. You know, it's like a small things, but the effect, the impact is very big, very enormous. I think if you learn about physics or the atomic physics or the nuclear science itself, you're gonna amazed on how big, how enormous is it. And then I agree with you. The future, we don't know yet. As I mentioned before, in ASEAN or in national landscape or in a regional landscape, the interest is there, but we don't know yet when it will be there. But they're not running, they're not racing, but they, when the interest there, they will build their capacity. They're curious on what's the science behind it. So what's the regulatory that we need to develop? How we can finance this one? So it's exciting things to follow the curiosity, and then how they come up together to run these things and to develop the program together. And I think the three E, the energy, the economy, and also the environment is three things that intercorrelate with each other, and it's something that. So to agree with Inten, she mentioned about the economy, the growth. I think when when a country tries to develop or interest in nuclear, it starts with the target of economic growth. Let's say, in Southeast Asia, we see, let's say, Vietnam, they targeting, let's say, almost 8 to 10%. It's impossible if they don't have enough electricity, enough energy. So they consider nuclear. But also its economy, and it did energy, but also they need to consider the environment impact. And nuclear has that with the low carbon, but also maybe people will concerned about the waste. But Dr. Kelle also mentioned about how actually the waste, the nuclear waste, is managed, and how it's in practical it can be. It can be managed well by the industry. So I think it's excited in every aspect, I guess.
Thank you. And I want to talk about something that all of you touched on, which is that this is not an easy process. It's a challenging process to put together a nuclear power system within your grid. It's a very long-term process. We heard Ibu Inten talk about some of the timeline that Indonesia has laid out, and Pak Ruli talked about it for other members of the ASEAN. So given that this challenging process, and the countries in this region are at different parts of it, could you talk a little bit about where you see as the most potential for countries in this region to share best practices and experiences with one another, and to learn from countries that have been going through this process for a little bit longer, like the United States, so that we can move down this pathway as quickly and easily as we can? Perhaps, Pak Ruli, we can start with you and then come back this way.
Thanks. There's also something that we at the center are trying to grapple and to pursue into that directions. Because, however, despite the interest, but the level of the readiness, but of course it's because in Southeast Asia, the interest of nuclear and so the readiness is at the different levels. For, let's say, some small country like say Cambodia, the nuclear interest is not there yet, because however it's a small country with a good source of electricity, and also not big populations. Different with, let's say, Indonesia or Philippines or Vietnam, the interest is there, and then they try when they need more energy, they consider nuclear, and then. But when they want to develop nuclear power program, of course, the human workforce development, the regulatory framework is something that they need to pursue in the first place. So, in a regional level, we developed a platform. We have a platform called the NECSSN, or call it Nuclear Energy Cooperation Subsector Network. So this network is consists of focal points that comes from related energy policymaker. For Indonesia, it comes from, let's say, Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. From Philippines, come from the Department of Energy. So anyway, they come from energy policymaker, which brainstorm and exchange information, exchange their experience, and in terms of nuclear in a policy level. But there's another platform called the ASEAN TOM. So within this platform, it comes from nuclear-related regulatory authority. From Indonesia, it comes from Bapeten, from Malaysia, Nuclear Malaysia, and from other from other countries, comes from related nuclear regulatory authority. So yeah, well, in a regional landscape, the experience sharing, the information exchange, it happens, and because as I mentioned before, there are a lot of challenges, and nobody can solve the challenge alone. So so the regional and international cooperation is something that that need to be in places to overcome the challenges.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. Really, virtually every one of those 19 infrastructure issues is ripe for cooperation. And you mentioned a tremendous amount as a regional approach. Internationally as well, the International Atomic Energy Agency is just one organization, along with the World Association of Nuclear Operators, for example, that shares best practices, operating experience. And the United States, for example, has a program called FIRST, which is about the foundational infrastructure for responsible use of small modular reactors. Very long term, but that's one reason I'm here. We come and we offer assistance in all of these areas so that you don't have to start from scratch in what's been practiced successfully in other countries like the United States.
Yeah, we agree about you, Dr. Kelle, and then Pak Ruli. Indonesia as the one country among of the ASEAN, I think it is also good, yeah, to bring together, develop together nuclear power plant. So we see that in the map of the ASEAN region that it is, what is it, Malaysia 2031 and then Indonesia 2032. So it is similar, yeah, target of the duration. So this is, I think it is important also because it will be, what is it, with the sharing of this development and then having a discussion, group discussion, I think it will be more easy, yeah, to develop. And the second one, the important is how to solve about the trust and a public awareness, public acceptance. It is very crucial, particularly in Indonesia. Yeah, and with the ASEAN among members, I think it become more easy. Yeah, more easy to minimize that risk because we have in the similar culture, similar what is it point of view in the region. Yeah. So I think it's good, yeah, because right now we should involve the young generation, yeah, to know about what is it, the nuclear, and to have awareness, to get trust and acceptance. It is important because still until when we Indonesia start the nuclear in 1997, until right now, the issue is regarding with the why nuclear, how about the safety, something like that. But we understand that it is still like what is it, rumor, something like that. But the trust is not good enough. It's not solid. Yeah. And this is will be what is it, can be solved when we go together with another country in the ASEAN among members.
Thank you for that. And I'll ask one more question, then we'll open it up to our audience. So please start thinking about the questions you're going to ask if you haven't already. So I want to go back to the idea of getting our audience and people like them involved. As you mentioned, Dr. Barfield, workforce development is a crucial factor for any country that's developing a nuclear program. And it's not just the nuclear engineers, it's the entire spectrum, from the people who do the communications, the economics, the waste management, across the regulation, across the board. So two questions on that, starting with you and then going to Pak Ruli and Ibu Inten. First of all, what can countries in this region do to create a pipeline of potential future nuclear workforce? And second, what can people in our audience and other Indonesian university students be doing to prepare themselves for a career in this growing industry?
Well, I think the one word that comes to mind in answer to that is the word network. As I said, there are plenty of programs in the United States. For example, the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission for half a century has had an international affiliates program. So you being aware of opportunities and then countries making those opportunities available is very important. I just this week was assigned a young student from Egypt. In Africa, they have created the African Atomic Policy Lab, and they'll take students from a variety of backgrounds who might work in the industry, give them special nuclear training, and then partner them one-on-one with mentors like myself. So I'll guide this student from Alexandria University in research for the nuclear industry. So the most, I mean, think of it as a dating game, really. How can I find some opportunity? And the interpersonal relationships are important, but they're also incredibly fulfilling.
So yeah, when we talk about the nuclear workforce or workforce in general, it's a multi-stakeholder approach, because we cannot talk only, so when we talk about nuclear workforce, it's a university jobs, but it comes from the governments and then industry and also the university or the training institutions. So the policy should be there, and then the industry will follow the policy, and then when the project are started, so the university or the training institutions, they come up with what kind of program, what kind of skill set that need to be developed based on what needed by the industry, and what are really planned or developed by the government. So it's a really a multi-stakeholder approach from the government, the industry, and also the training institution or the education institutions on how to develop this industry. Because it's, I think I'm quite interested in your slides. It's not so when I'm a nuclear graduate myself. So when I think about the nuclear industry, it's going to be, you need to be a nuclear engineer. But actually, there are a lot of financing, the human resource. It's just industry in general. You need chemists, you need a radiation protection, you need an environmental analyst and stuff. So yeah, it's really a multi-stakeholder approach on developing the pipeline of the workforce.
Yeah, involving the young generation, I think is good, and multi-stakeholder. So this event, I think, it is also a good example, yeah, how to involve, and then also to put it lecturer in the general lecturer in the every university, yeah, I think it's good also to introducing what is the nuclear, yeah, and even to promote the interest, yeah, in the elementary school, yeah, I think, because nuclear development path is long, yeah, it's very long, but so this is important to include it, to involve in the level of the kindergarten, in the elementary school, yeah, junior high school. I think it's good, because a lot of workforce that will be involved in the one power plant, right? Yeah, and it needs STEMs, right? Also STEM and also another's, yeah, like economics, something like that. But the interesting, yeah, to what is it? Interesting to work in the nuclear. I think it is also need to be good, yeah, to be introducing, yeah, in the earlier of the generation. Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's see. Does anyone from our audience have a question? Please just raise your hand. I think there in the back. Yeah, perfect. Please introduce yourself and say, if you're a university student, what you're studying.
Hello, I'm Irfan from Economic Research Institute of ASEAN and East Asia or area. I have two questions. First question is, if we talk about SMR in the United States or in the region, we have to also take a look at the players. So I would like to ask, who is the most enthusiastic and reliable players or partners from the US to the Indonesia or ASEAN in the region? Second question is that, is there any new initiative, whether it's policy, whether it's fiscal, whether it's human development in the last 3 months or so, especially considering that there is a first workshop conducted by DEN and US, also Japan? Thank you very much.
So I can address, I think when you said that enthusiasm, you're referring to the developers, the reactor designers. And so you have several. GE Hitachi has the BWRX 300. That is being built currently in Darlington by Ontario Power, so that's one that's underway. Also, one being built in Tennessee. You have Holtec, which is a combination of large-scale and small reactor designer, very aggressive. They're working on a project in Michigan in the United States. TerraPower has an SMR underway, construction underway in Wyoming. So there are several that have been in the forefront of the licensing of their design, now the licensing of their construction, and that are underway. So I think those are the most promising because your regulation requires that you adopt what they refer to as proven technology. So those projects underway in the United States are going to prove those designs for here in Indonesia. And then the second question.
Do you want to talk a little bit about anything, recent updates at that?
Yeah. Energi National Council has nuclear in the priority, yeah, of the program because put it nuclear program in the national energy policy. It is important, yeah. And in the recent government regulation number 40 2025, it put it nuclear in the article. And then after that we push of the activity of the nuclear itself, and we supervise that the implementation and the target of the nuclear it can be reached. Yeah, we understand that now there is right now is left 6 years, yeah, next, yeah, to achieve 2032, and it is very challenging right now. But we still wait for the NEPIO establishment by the presidential decree that right now is on the president desk, and we waiting for that. But parallel with this, the MEMR, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, have already set up the team task force, and the team task force will be what is it? Will be make first the management engagement, yeah, because it is important, and the second one is the Energi National Council is also will be suggest and recommended that Batan we have in the past year we have a Batan and then Lapan to active again, because in the previously Batan and Lapan already there and then put it under BRIN, yeah. And right now we would like to have a recommendation to put again, and then will be active again, yeah. So become exclusive for the nuclear that will be executing for the nuclear power plant, yes, development project.
Thank you very much. We've got a question from our online audience, which I think is a good one to do now, just because it is taking a step back for people who may not be as familiar with this topic. We've been throwing a lot of terms related to some of this technology. So one of the topics from questions from Hanum, for those new to the topic, what exactly are small modular reactors, SMR, and how do they differ from conventional nuclear power plants?
Can I take that?
Yeah.
Or is that all right? Yeah. So small modular reactors simply mean they're smaller. They make less electricity than a traditional large reactor. That's important because, as I said, not every country needs that much power from a large reactor. That picture of the plant that I had, for example, that's a 1,450 megawatt plant, whereas Indonesia is looking at 225 to 250, much smaller. So that's one advantage. Modular means it's mass produced. Think factories, think making automobiles or airplanes, for example. So that's ideal because you have greater quality control, faster construction. You make it all over and over and over the same way, then you just ship it. Westinghouse has a design, for example, for a microreactor, and their vision is they will build it, ship it, and install it in 30 days. I mean, that's unheard of, right? And so the modular part's really important also for cost control. And then the final part of small modular reactors that gets to the advanced part are the safety systems, greatly enhanced. They require less electricity, they require less pumps and things to operate, and they require less water. So back to the comment about environmental, the new designs take environmental impact into consideration as well.
Thank you very much. I think I saw a couple of other hands up. Yes, right over here, the woman in the second row. Right over there. Yep.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Let me introduce myself. My name is Salma Puspitasari. Actually, I'm a young research assistant in one of the university in Indonesia. And I'm the new, actually I'm a 22 years old. And I am the new and renewable energy enthusiast. And I've been part of from Pertamina Power Indonesia and Pala Indonesia for several months. And actually, I have a questions for of the Dr. Kelle, Dr. Sripeni, and Mr. Roli. And it is a pleasure to me learning from all of you. And for the question is, actually as Indonesia prepares for its first nuclear power plant, what should be our top priority today to make sure nuclear energy development is safe, economically viable, and publicly accepted, and supported by strong regulation and governance. And especially for the young generation, what role can we play in supporting Indonesian nuclear readiness? And thank you so much.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, if you see my presentation earlier, there's some key challenges, but things that really need to consider before country need to develop a nuclear power project is the regulatory framework itself. Because, however, the people will when we talk about nuclear, the image will be Fukushima or Chernobyl. It's never atom, but it's always nuclear bomb. So safety is something that needs to, as a concern. Safety is a paramount concern in a nuclear development. So the regulatory framework, especially the regulation itself and the regulatory authority means the people who will regulate, the people who will license the nuclear power plant is something that a country needs to consider. So that's one of the top priority, the safety and the regulatory framework to regulate the safety. And so the second one is the human resource, or the people who will operate and also the people who will regulate the nuclear project. So another considerations will be the financing project. I think yes, the technicality, the safety is one thing, but another problem in nuclear power development during, let's say, these decades is the cost overrun and also the financing or the economic viability. So when a newcomer country want to consider nuclear power plant, how to access the economic viability, how to find the most suitable financing options is also something that they need to consider. Maybe I will pass to other speakers.
Yeah, well, I would just say, I'm often asked that question, what's the most important priority? What do we have to do first? And in reality, thinking of these issues as sequential isn't exactly right. I like to think of them as paths, roads that are all going to converge at success. So you can be working, for example, on workforce development with universities around the world. You can be working on public communication with experts like myself from the United States who've practiced it. Meanwhile, you're working with regulators like the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission on frameworks. So each one of those has their own distinct challenges that can be done in simultaneous, and they all require a long time to get them working properly. So that's why you want to help develop them simultaneously, not necessarily one before the other. You do have to have a national law. You do have to have that national position for sure, because you have to have the commitment to the human resources to build out your infrastructure. But all of these things can be worked on simultaneously.
So regarding with what is the role of the young SU, I think it is important. Yeah. So we we ask your role as the important players in this area, because we know that nuclear development is long period, long duration, so it needs patience, so it needs endurance, yeah. And to get there, it is important to have, to have a supported by the generation, because there are so many layers in the generation right now in the Indonesia, yeah, in the leadership, in the central government or in the local government. And developing the nuclear power plant, it is not only in the central government, it is also in the local government. So in the local government itself, it is various, the majority of the knowledge, know-how, awareness of the nuclear itself. So this is important, how the young generation with the good network, good opportunity, good communication, yeah, to doing your, important roles, how the acceptance, how the awareness, it can be get, yeah, from the local government and then central government. Because it is important, Pak Ruli and also Ibu Dr. Kelle is said that all of the all of the field should be done, yeah. All of the programs should be done, yeah. Not only series, but it is parallel, yeah. And it is need a lot of workforce, a lot of resources to do that. So this is important. Indonesia have a bonus demography, yeah. And it is important to involve, yeah, all of the stakeholders, all of the among a generation to work with this, our homework, yeah. I said that this is our homework because electricity is the infrastructure to economic growth, yeah. We understand that we are still in the middle income trap, yeah. So how we can go, yeah, how can we can out, yeah, get out from the middle income trap is from the economic growth. And the economic growth, it is need electricity. So the electricity from the such number, huge number, abundant, we can solve with the nuclear power plant.
And would you agree that when you say young people being supportive, would you agree that starts with being curious, caring, right?
Yes, yes.
Ask good questions.
Ask a good question, yes. I think it's good, yeah. Yeah. So that's why I said that we can, I think we right now, Energi National Council should take, yeah, should take from the elementary school, yeah. Should take from the junior high school. Because what is it? This is they that will be involved when the nuclear power plant is already there, yeah, yeah. So this is important things, yeah. Not right us, yeah. It is expired, yeah. But for the elementary school, it is important because when they're curious and they understand well, so they will be have a ownership, yeah, ownership to get that.
I think we've got time for one more question. Let's see. Yes, over there next to the stairs.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Joelyn Cantika, and I'm international relations student from Universitas Al-Azhar Indonesia. I want to ask, especially for Mr. Ruli Hidayatullah and Mrs. Sripeni. The first question for Mr. Ruli is, what challenge do you think Indonesia will face in the second phase of ASEAN nuclear energy cooperation, which will be held in the Philippines? And the second question is for Ms. Sripeni. What are the weaknesses of the National Energy Council nuclear roadmap for achieving the relevant target in Indonesia by 2032? Thank you.
So if I understand correctly your questions, may I confirm that you're asking about the about the Philippine chairship in a nuclear in ASEAN, right? And how nuclear is included within ASEAN chairship. So yeah, as I mentioned before, one of the nuclear is one of the deliverable or PED energy deliverable under the Philippine ASEAN chairship. So one of the the two concerns are the financing and human workforce pipeline. So under the Philippine chairship, the financing issues they try to observe what are the viable options and what are the economic issues and what are the financing model that could be doable or fit into the ASEAN context. Because, however, yeah, there are a lot of nuclear projects currently worldwide in China, Russia, Korea. But is that kind of a project could be replicated, or what are the best practice? What are the lessons that ASEAN can learn from that in terms of financing infrastructures? Another thing is the human resource or human workforce development, because as I mentioned before, if you want to run the nuclear project safely and responsibly, we need a qualified and a full skilled in a nuclear workforce from the end to end, from the design, from the operations, even for the nuclear waste management. So yeah, that's two things that become the concern of the NEC SSN under Philippine chairship in ASEAN. Thank you.
Okay. The big challenge is how to achieve 2032 in Indonesia. I think first is regarding with the financing. Yes, Indonesia right now is because of the weakness of the rupiah with the foreign exchange, something like that, yeah. And the geopolitics, yeah. I think right now the situation of the geopolitics is not so good to accept, yeah. And the third one is regarding with the technology proven. We understand that in the put it on the RUPTL PLN, something like that, is the SMR. But right now we understand that the SMR is not still in the development, yeah, not in the commercial, yeah, in the commercial. But in Indonesia, we will develop for the technology after they come to the commercial. So we should wait. But parallel with this, we preparing that, yeah, we preparing that. So we understand that the target for 2032 maybe can be not achieved in the 2032, but particularly minimum, we already move on. Yeah, we already move on the track. Yeah, yeah, on the track that we will, and we confirm to build that the program.
Achieving the goals that Ibu Inten laid out for us today. So thank you very much, and thank you again to all of our panelists,
Okay, everyone, can we give another round of applause for our speakers and also moderator? Yes, thank you so much to our speakers today, Dr. Kelle Barfield, Dr. Insinyur Sripeni, Inten Cahyani, and also Pak Ruli Hidayatullah for the very insightful discussion and also sharing to us your insights and also knowledge. And thank you to our moderator, Cody Swyer from U.S. Mission to ASEAN for leading today's discussion. And of course, thank you so much to everyone attending here. Can we have a round of applause for everyone? Yes, thank you so much, everyone. We hope that everyone here gained a lot of insights and also knowledge from today's event. And if you are interested in attending more events here in America, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms at AT America on Instagram, X, Facebook, and also YouTube. And also visit our website at www.atamerica.or.id for more event updates and also informations about America. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for today. My name is Ara, and see you at the next America event. Thank you, everyone.